This plant breaks the watering rules. I'm Tony Le-Britton and welcome to Plants with Impact, a series where I show you how to care for your houseplants so they don't only survive but thrive in your home. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Adiantum raddianum, which is this beautiful maidenhair fern. And maidenhair ferns break all of the watering rules. Adiantum raddianum, or the maidenhair fern, is named because of these beautiful black stems which resemble human hair and contrast beautifully with the vibrant green foliage. They grow wild in South America, in rock crevices and in logs, so they like to stay consistently damp around their roots, and that's where a lot of people go wrong with them. Many people think that maidenhair ferns are difficult to keep, but like any plant, give it what it likes and it will thrive in your care. The first thing we should talk about is the light. Although maidenhair are a fern, they don't necessarily want very, very low light situations. In fact, if you can get them somewhere that gets some direct sun early in the morning or very late in the afternoon for a maximum of 2 hours, they're going to be really happy. Wherever you put this, make sure it's got an unobstructed view of the sky, and then you know it's going to be getting the perfect type of light. With most houseplants, you want to allow them to dry out between waterings, but with the maidenhair fern, it's really important to keep it damp at all times. So it does take a little bit extra caution and checking it a bit more regularly to keep it happy. Because we don't want the soil of the maidenhair to dry out, it's a really good tip to pop it somewhere you're going to pass regularly so you remember to check it, and somewhere close to a sink so it's easy for you to water regularly. Every couple of days, just pull back the leaves, check the surface of the soil. If that's starting to look dry, water it thoroughly right across. You can also shower the plant down, it'll be really happy with that. When you water across the surface, and if you don't have drainage holes in your pot, just be sure not to overwater it, because although it doesn't want to dry out, it also doesn't want to sit really, really wet. As well as regular watering, it's really important to feed your fern. So I recommend feeding this every other watering, and I prefer to use something that dissolves into the water so you can be sure that your plant's getting exactly the nutrition that it needs. Maidenhair ferns make brilliant houseplants, but you can actually grow this outside. It's hardy down to about 5 degrees, so it means in a sheltered spot it could be left out all winter. And even if it does defoliate and lose all of its leaves, it will really likely emerge again from the bottom in the spring. You could also take it out there during the summer and bring it back in for winter and enjoy it again as a houseplant. One thing to note about growing maidenhairs is they're never going to be completely perfect. You definitely need to expect the odd little brown tip or crispy leaf, but that's completely natural and plants are not supposed to be perfect. I've got a great tip to help you eliminate any problems. I plant multiple plants into one pot without drainage holes, and that's another rule that we usually try and stay away from with houseplants. Most houseplants definitely need drainage holes to allow the water to run through, but not having them in here really helps retain that extra bit of moisture. And because we're planting multiple plants into one pot and filling in with extra soil, there's extra areas to hold some moisture around the roots. So you can see in this pot here, we've got 5 plants. It creates a beautiful instant display, but it's also much more likely that you're going to be successful with it. If you see any little crispy bits or drying leaves, just work your hand down to the base of the stem and simply nip it off and dispose of it. And the plant will then produce more new fronds, which you can see in the middle here. And they'll emerge from the bottom as with the rest of ferns, unfurl, and then start to tower over as the plant grows. If you do forget to water your fern and it's looking a little bit sorry for itself, I'm going to show you exactly what to do, because it's not necessarily the end of its life. Here's one that missed a watering, and as you can see, it's starting to crisp up, and it all does look a little bit dramatic, but it will come back from this, and it's really easy to do. So just figure out which leaves are really brown and crispy and will never recover, and you can either use your fingers to nip out those, or you can get some snips and just work your way around, cutting out any foliage that isn't going to recover. And with this plant, the majority of the leaves are not going to recover, so I'm just going to take them all off. It may seem a little bit harsh, but it's going to recover quickly, and that's a great thing about ferns. You can actually see right here, this is a brand new shoot which is already starting to emerge, and new ones will follow from the base and really quickly replace what you've taken off. Once you've cleared away all of that dead foliage, the most important thing now is to make sure you keep this damp at all times. It's a really critical time for the plant when it's starting to recover, but keep it damp, pop it somewhere bright, and it'll be looking good as new in no time. So I hope you feel a lot more confident growing maidenhair ferns now, and know that if you give it the right care, it'll reward you with beautiful growth, and it's not as difficult as many people think. Whereas most other houseplants like to dry out between waterings, this maidenhair fern breaks all the rules, so keep it damp and keep it happy.